What's the best way to train leg locks as a white belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? First of all, it's important to understand the leg locks that are illegal and legal for you to do in competition. And also why it's a good idea for you to still practice the illegal ones. Let's start with the legal ones. You are allowed to do a straight ankle lock. You can do this whether you're wearing the gi or not. Importantly, you should not reap the knee. There's two reasons for this. One is the supposed reason why the rule was created was to protect people's legs from getting weirdly twisted by turning them inside. But really, it's sort of down to a technicality whether or not the foot crosses the hip line, and if you have an overhook or an underhook on your opponent's leg. Basically, don't turn their knee inside. And if you stick to in standard ashigarami and pushing everything on their leg towards the outside, not towards the inside, then you're good. You can do straight ankle locks. But how do you practice them? Well, first of all, if your coach isn't showing them, there's a plethora of techniques available online for absolutely free. And you can always go to someone during open mat and ask if they would be willing to drill them. Chances are there is at least one person in your gym who has done a leg lock before. And chances are, if you go up to them after class and say, hey, it would mean a lot if I could get like 10 reps real quick of a straight ankle lock entry and finish. Would you mind doing that with me? Chances are they're going to say yes. Almost like if you're like, hey, can I drill for like 25 minutes? Like people are going to be like, nah, man, I want to roll. But if you say, hey, can I get like 10 entries of this leg lock? And I know you've done this before. Would you mind helping me out with this? And then afterwards, we can work on something that you would want to work on. Or if you just want to spar, we can spar from whatever position or however you want to do it. So that way you're sort of giving something back to them. And personally for me, if someone came up to me and was like, hey, I would like to work on this leg lock position. Can we get about 10 reps in? And then, if you want to spar or anything after, go for it. I would say, yes, absolutely. I would be super excited and we would work on leg locks together and then we would spar. And I think that would be a fair trade. But let's say you can't go up to somebody. Eventually, right, you're going to be sparring in class. And sometimes you're going to play games where it's like it's sweep or submit, or you have restrictions positionally or what have you for sparring. But if you go to enough classes, at least a few times a week, you should have just open sparring where you're allowed to do whatever you want. And when you're allowed to do whatever you want, and you've been trying to do these leg locks, you can go for it. But don't go in and just immediately rip on this leg lock and think that you're the man, because you might get smashed. And this is a thing that happens with learning any new move or position. When you first go and try leg locks, you're probably going to get your guard passed. You're probably going to be smashed in side control, and that's okay, right? You'll get some submissions, right, and you'll learn it. But try to funnel into those positions that you practiced with the person you asked or saw just on YouTube or your coach showed you, and try to just get in that position. And if you lose, oh well. And if you can never get back to that position ever again in that role, no big deal. But as long as you are focused on getting towards that position, whatever single entry leg lock you would get. And that's another thing. I would only focus on one move at a time. Don't focus on a ton of different moves, because when you do that, you're going to be overwhelmed. But if you only have one goal, and even if you don't even come anywhere close to that, you can at least understand that, like, okay, my one goal was to get to the ashigarami position and get a straight ankle lock. And I ended up in bottom mount and I was getting cross collar choked and I tapped out. And okay, where'd we go wrong? Well, okay, so when I pulled into my guard, he kind of just went right around my legs. Okay, so then we didn't set up our guard. So it's like at every step along the way, we can kind of get there. And so in the next roll, you might get a little bit closer, or you start to escape and then funnel right back to where your position is going. And eventually, you're gonna get it, or you're gonna get really close to it. And then if you get close to it, go back and watch the same video, or ask your coach, or go with that same drilling partner, and try to practice the little thing that happened in the roll, and then repeat that process again and again and again. Now, we don't want to hurt people, because leg locks have this bad reputation for hurting people. So we want to be extra careful. And let's talk about the illegal ones. You guys are patient, so I'm going to tell you about the illegal ones. And these are the ones that can maybe hurt people. So it's not illegal to do heel hooks once you're blue belt. Some tournaments, it depends. But even as a white belt, I think you should be practicing heel hooks. But I would say don't spar with the heel hooks if you can help it. Try to get this person who is willing to work leg locks with you and do like a handful of heel hooks. Like if you do 10 heel hooks after class, like drilling every single day, and you go to like 3 classes a week, you're going to get a decent understanding of mechanics. And then if you are practicing your straight ankle locks in live sparring situations, you'll have a lot of success because you're getting the drilling, you're getting the concept, and then you're getting the live application. And I would say focus on the straight ankle locks, but look, if you have people who are willing to roll heel hooks with you and let you know where they're in danger, where they're not, you can sort of get an understanding of them starting at white belt, and so that way when you're able to do them, you'll be a lot more competent and you'll just have a better overall understanding of them. So that would be my recommendation for training them. Find training partners who are willing to do them, draw them aside. Definitely go on YouTube and find those leg lock videos, but don't hurt people, right? You got to be careful, and if you're really sly about it, by saying, hey, let me work on these leg locks for a little bit and then I'll give you whatever kind of training you want right after, chances are if you only get like a handful here or there, it may not seem like much, but I promise it'll add up over time. Leave me comments to support the channel. Peace.